The Galactic Council sat in their towering chambers, dripping with pomp and self-importance, warning humanity with a kind of thunderous voice reserved for scolding children caught shoplifting candy. They declared, in tones of doom and self-righteousness, that Earth's species had crossed the line too many times. They listed the evidence like a priest listing sins: glitter bombs detonated in sacred temples, gravity swapped so a planet's population floated into ceilings mid-religious orgy, and, most unforgivable, the swapping of holy fertility incense with something called Axe body spray, musk of the bro. The council called it sacrilege, a cosmic crime, a threat to galactic order. Humanity called it Tuesday. From the start, humans hadn't really taken the council seriously. The galaxy, with all its tentacles, scales, glowing orbs, and floating jellyfish with superiority complexes, looked at humanity like a troublesome teenager sneaking vodka into prom. But humans? They grinned, winked, and replied with that lethal combination of sarcasm and double entendres. When the council warned them, "If you disrupt our sacred bonding ceremonies again, you will face sanctions," one Earth delegate had leaned into the microphone and whispered, "Well, you know what they say about sanctions. They're like safe words. Overrated." The chamber gasped in horror, while humanity laughed so hard one diplomat nearly choked on a cigar. The council's patience thinned faster than a Martian stripper's thong on payday. They recited long speeches about cultural dignity, interstellar unity, and the gravity of pranks destabilizing whole empires. But humanity was too busy doodling dicks on the margins of the treaties and whispering jokes about probing rights and colonization with benefits. When an alien high priest solemnly declared that human glitter had permanently bonded to their species' reproductive organs, an Earth rep muttered, "At least now you'll sparkle where it counts." Word spread quickly across the stars: never invite humans to your festivals unless you wanted chaos. There was the infamous incident with the aquatic race from Sigma 9, whose centuries-old coming-of-age ritual was ruined when humans released thousands of inflatable pool toys into their sacred lagoon. Imagine generations of solemn warriors trying to emerge with honor, only to surface surrounded by rubber ducks squeaking out of sync. Then there was the noble crustacean species whose courtship dances were interrupted when humans hacked their ceremonial music with Earth's greatest weapon, the Macarena. The council warned, threatened, and scolded. And still, humans laughed, humans winked, humans found the one nerve that the galaxy couldn't handle and poked it with childish glee. Aliens were mortified by the concept of humor about sex, romance, and bodily functions. Humanity, on the other hand, ran on it. When a three-tentacled species complained about their ruined mating rituals, a human rep smirked and asked, "Three tentacles. Does that mean you're always multitasking, or just compensating?" The chamber nearly collapsed under the combined weight of alien outrage and barely suppressed giggles. Humans became infamous for taking nothing seriously, even when entire galactic systems demanded solemnity. During one crucial peace treaty signing, the humans replaced the ink in ceremonial pens with disappearing ink. The treaty signatures vanished overnight, sending empires into panic. When caught, humanity shrugged and said, "Guess that's a sign the relationship wasn't built to last." Another time, when the Galactic Council gathered for a moment of silence to honor fallen soldiers, humanity rigged the audio system to whisper, "That's what she said," after every solemn phrase. Entire species erupted in scandal, but secretly some of their younger delegates started repeating the joke. The warnings grew sharper. Stop now or face consequences. The humans leaned back in their chairs, threw their boots up on the table, and asked if consequences meant a spanking, because some cultures paid extra for that. The council wanted dignity. Humanity wanted laughs. Aliens begged humans to stop tampering with their sacred hair-grooming ceremonies, stop hijacking their interstellar porn broadcasts to insert rickrolls, and for the love of all cosmic gods, stop swapping out their meditation chants with explicit human moaning tracks. But every warning only fueled humanity's creativity. It wasn't malice. It was boredom, mischief, and a love of the inappropriate. Other species saw solemnity as sacred. Humans saw it as an opportunity. The council said, You've disrupted centuries of tradition. Humanity said, yeah, but admit it, your tradition looks way better when it ends with a custard pie to the face. When a council member raged about the sanctity of their temples, a human whispered, sanctity or not, your high priest looked pretty sexy in that tutu we left him. The worst part for the aliens wasn't just humiliation, it was how often humans turned their own rules into jokes about sex and romance. When a council law required strict docking procedures, humans made weeks of puns about docking. When aliens described fusion bonding rituals, humans asked if that meant threesomes or just really passionate hugs. Entire chambers of politicians collapsed into scandalized silence, only for humanity to cap it off with a straight-faced remark like, "We just want to understand your culture," deeply, repeatedly. For humanity, humor and sexuality were weapons sharper than any blade, and the council never learned how to parry them. They wanted reverence. Humanity gave them innuendo. They wanted obedience. Humanity gave them fart jokes timed to sacred hymns. And when the council pleaded one last time, warning Earth to stop before they brought galactic wrath, humanity responded the way only humans could. They threw a party. Not just any party. A galaxy-wide rave, broadcast on every open channel, filled with flashing lights, zero-gravity strippers, and DJs mixing diplomatic speeches into beats that dropped harder than the council's dignity. Entire species tuned in, horrified and fascinated, while humanity declared, "You told us to stop. We heard, don't stop. Guess that's on you." The council fumed, raged, and promised vengeance. But humanity, drunk on its own defiance and cheap interstellar tequila, laughed louder than ever. Because to them, the warnings weren't barriers. They were invitations. And in the end, Earth knew exactly what the aliens didn't. If you can make the galaxy laugh, even in outrage, you've already won the first battle. The Council's final warning hung in the air like stale cigar smoke, but humanity treated it the same way they treated speed limit signs, more of a suggestion than a rule. If the aliens thought a stern lecture would sober up Earth, they clearly had met the species who invented tequila shots, strip poker, and reality television. To humans, the warning was less a stop sign and more a dare. The universal message was basically, don't push this button, and humanity's response was, bet we'll push it twice and live stream it. So, naturally, Earth escalated. They began pranking the Council in ways so adult, so inappropriately sexual, that entire chambers of alien diplomats fainted. For instance, during a solemn council address, every chair in the room began vibrating in unison. Delegates shifted uncomfortably, some groaned, some gasped, and one species with 12 sensitive ridges nearly passed out from overstimulation. Humanity swore it was a technical malfunction. Everyone else knew better. The Council demanded the removal of human humorists from official delegations. Earth responded by sending an entire team of stand-up comedians disguised as diplomatic aides. Within hours, aliens were subjected to endless routines about the weirdness of tentacle foreplay, why interspecies relationships never work out, and why every alien sex ritual sounded suspiciously like something humans did in college bathrooms. One comic ended his set with the line, "Listen, if your mating dance lasts 6 hours and involves ritual stabbing, that's not romance. That's foreplay with health insurance." The audience gasped. The humans applauded. The pranks didn't stop at speeches. They hit every aspect of galactic life. Alien ceremonial robes, replaced with Velcro tearaway outfits. So halfway through a speech, a dignitary would find himself stripped to nothing but sequined underwear. Alien dating apps, flooded with fake human profiles promising exotic tentacle massages and free probing. Sacred Council shuttle pods, programmed to play non-stop recordings of moaning humans at full volume until someone found the off switch. Humanity didn't just ignore the warnings, they doubled down and weaponized adult humor as a diplomatic tool. What made it worse, or better, depending on perspective, was how shameless humans were. When confronted, they leaned into it.
What?
"We thought you liked it," they'd smirk. When an alien priest screamed about having been humiliated during a fertility ritual, a human delegate replied, "Hey, You can't spell fertility without fun. Well, you can, but it's less fun. And the aliens couldn't keep up. Their dignity was armor, and humanity's double entendres were acid that ate through it. When one proud warrior race accused humans of corrupting their mating practices, humanity asked if they'd at least tried it with lube. When another race ranted about the sacred act of bonding through mutual plasma exchange, humanity replied, "Sounds like third base back home." The scandal nearly collapsed the chamber, but even the sternest alien delegates couldn't hide that tiny twitch, the one that betrayed they got the joke. The real chaos began when humans turned their attention to interspecies romance. They didn't just prank, they flirted. They hit on delegates mid-session, leaving entire councils frozen in horror. "Hey, you've got some nice scales," one human whispered to a reptilian ambassador. "Bet they'd look good on my bedroom floor." The alien's translator refused to repeat the words. When a jelly-bodied species tried to complain about human misconduct, Earth's response was, "Don't be jelly, baby. You're our type too." Entire wars had started over less than these pickup lines. Yet humans delivered them with the casual grace of people ordering pizza. The aliens didn't know whether to imprison them or buy them a drink. Some secretly did both. The Council was especially furious when Earth hacked their secure interstellar communications network. At first, they thought it was sabotage. Then they realized humanity had simply replaced every official announcement with erotic audiobooks narrated in sultry voices. A declaration of war became, her tentacles wrapped tightly around his starship hull, a peace treaty turned into. She moaned as the gravity fluctuated. By the time the Council restored order, 3 species had banned humans from their libraries, while another 2 quietly asked if they could purchase copies of the recordings. Romance wasn't safe. Religion wasn't safe. War wasn't safe. Even funerals weren't spared. During a somber memorial, a giant holographic projection appeared, showing 2 aliens from rival species locked in what could only be described as aggressively athletic interspecies coupling. Humanity swore it was a cultural misunderstanding. The Council called it blasphemy. One human diplomat muttered, "Look, sex is the best way to bring people together. We're just helping the process." Behind the outrage, though, something more complicated stirred. Some aliens found themselves laughing. Others found themselves intrigued. A few found themselves aroused. Because as much as they hated humanity's irreverence, they couldn't deny it was infectious. The galaxy had spent millennia choking on rules, trapped in pomp, suffocating under ceremony. And here came Earth, with their jokes, their pranks, their refusal to respect anything, including themselves. It was the species that glued tentacles together during diplomatic handshakes, then asked if it counted as a threesome. The species that invented the fart joke, then turned it into galactic political strategy. The species that, when told to behave, asked, "Define behave, and does it involve handcuffs?" The Council swore vengeance, and humanity just grinned. Because for every punishment threatened, there was another prank waiting. For every warning, another innuendo. For every scandal, another outrageous story that would be told in bars across 1,000 worlds. Humanity wasn't just surviving, they were thriving, and they were making the galaxy blush while doing it. The climax of escalation came when humans crashed the Council's annual banquet. Aliens had gathered in their finest silks and ceremonial armor, prepared for speeches about unity. Instead, when the serving trays were lifted, they found the meals had been replaced by realistic chocolate molds of alien genitals, accurately sculpted down to the last detail, thanks to human curiosity and 3D printing technology. The room exploded. Outrage, shock, scandal, and laughter. Deep, guilty laughter that some delegates couldn't suppress. The Council shouted. Humans toasted. And somewhere, in that mixture of fury and laughter, of humiliation and intrigue, the galaxy realized humanity wasn't going to stop. Not for warnings, not for threats, not for tradition. If anything, the warnings only fueled them. Because for humanity, making the galaxy suffer meant making it laugh, cringe, moan, and blush all at once. The Galactic Council finally decided enough was enough. No more warnings, no more speeches, no more tolerating humans turning diplomacy into a stand-up routine. They assembled their most elite task forces, the kind of stone-faced enforcers who had never cracked a smile in their entire species' existence. Their orders were simple: subdue humanity, strip them of their influence, and restore dignity to the galaxy. Unfortunately, they had no idea who they were dealing with. The first squad landed in New York, armed with stun batons and righteousness. Within 2 hours, they were drunk, wearing novelty t-shirts that read "Probe Me Harder," and trying to order pizza with their plasma rifles. Humanity hadn't fought them with weapons. They'd fought with margaritas, lap dances, and a suspicious amount of karaoke. By the time the council checked in, their enforcers were passed out in strip clubs, covered in glitter and shame. The second squad did no better. They tried to disable Earth satellites with precision strikes, but humans hacked their systems and reprogrammed the weapons into giant orbital sex toys. The entire galaxy watched in horror as a squadron of Council war machines hummed and buzzed across space in ways no military ship should. Humanity broadcasted the footage with a tagline: "We didn't start the war, but we definitely finished first." Every attempt at punishment backfired. Alien confiscations of human goods led to black markets, where interstellar smugglers sold Earth's adult toys at premium prices. The Council banned human alcohol, only to discover their own soldiers were now addicted to tequila, whiskey, and Jell-O shots. When they outlawed human music, they discovered half their youth were already remixing Galactic anthems into EDM sex beats. The harder they tried to discipline Earth, the more Earth corrupted them, like a virus made of dirty jokes and tequila salt. But the biggest problem wasn't the pranks. It was the romance. Humans flirted shamelessly with their would-be oppressors, and for the first time in centuries, aliens didn't know how to resist. A human diplomat whispered, "I know you're here to arrest me, but has anyone ever told you how hot you look in that armor?" The alien sputtered. Another human leaned in close and murmured, "If you cuff me, you'd better buy me dinner first." Suddenly, interstellar soldiers weren't arresting anyone. They were blushing through their helmets. The Council was furious when reports came in of entire squads seduced by Earth's irreverence. The official documents used terms like compromised chain of command and loss of disciplinary cohesion. Unofficially, it was a sex scandal of galactic proportions. Alien enforcers were leaving their posts to go on dates with humans, only to come back dazed, sticky, and smiling. One particular romance scandal nearly toppled the Council itself. A stern, humorless delegate from a cold-blooded species found herself entangled with a smooth-talking human prankster. Their exchanges were disasters of miscommunication. When she said she wanted peace talks, he thought she meant pants off. When she demanded fusion of our people, he replied, "Babe, I usually wait until the third date for that." The Council saw disgrace. The tabloids saw a love story. Humanity saw an opportunity to joke that the cold-blooded finally warmed up. Alien attempts at retaliation turned darker. One Council faction tried banning human relationships with their citizens, declaring them corrosive to dignity. Humanity responded with black market dating apps exclusively for aliens, complete with profiles boasting lines like "professional cuddler," "amateur diplomat," and "looking for someone to share my oxygen and bad decisions." The ban failed within days as half the galaxy signed up, curious about the species that treated interstellar politics like foreplay. Another faction tried psychological warfare, bombarding Earth with propaganda about human inferiority. Humanity turned it into memes. Posters that read, "Humans are weak and pathetic," were photoshopped with captions like, "Still your mom's favorite." The Council groaned. Humanity laughed harder. Dark humor only added to the suffering. When a Council ship crashed due to human sabotage, the humans sent condolence cards with jokes like, "At least you went down faster than our prom dates." When an alien leader was injured in a protest, humans sent flowers with a note reading, "Get well soon," or at least get well enough to try again. What was meant as cruelty became comedy, and in some twisted way, even respect. The Council was humiliated at every turn, but their dignity wasn't the only casualty. Their own people started imitating humans. Alien teenagers began spray-painting genital graffiti on monuments. Priests tried stand-up comedy in temples, whispering, "That's what she said," during chants. Entire colonies began experimenting with human dating rituals, roses, dinners, bad pickup lines. The infection of humor spread faster than any plague, and the more the council cracked down, the more irresistible it became. Meanwhile, Earth reveled in the chaos. They opened cultural exchange bars where aliens could drink, dance, and bond with humans. They ran workshops called How to Flirt Like a Human. They sold novelty merchandise, alien-shaped dildos, inflatable council effigies, and shirts that read "Galactic Council Can't Handle This." What started as defiance became an interstellar brand, and humanity was cashing in. By now, the Council's retaliation had spiraled into absurdity. They tried finding Earth, but humans paid in counterfeit currencies shaped like erotic playing cards. They tried blockades, but human porn sites became the most trafficked networks in the galaxy, bankrupting the Council's censorship systems. They tried public shaming, but humanity simply leaned into it, calling themselves the galactic villains of foreplay. It wasn't victory through war or even cunning strategy. It was victory through shamelessness. Humanity had discovered the galaxy's greatest weakness, a total inability to deal with a species that treated sex jokes, dark humor, and reckless romance as weapons. By the end of the Council's retaliation campaign, the galaxy was bruised, humiliated, and oddly aroused. Dignity was in ruins, reputations destroyed, alliances shaken. Yet somehow, in all the chaos, more aliens were dating humans, more jokes were spreading across the stars, and more council soldiers were resigning to start personal relations with Earth citizens. Humanity had suffered nothing. The galaxy had suffered everything. And still humans laughed. Because what the council never understood was this: the more they tried to punish humanity, the more humanity made them suffer. Not with pain, but with embarrassment, with laughter, with the kind of messy intimacy the galaxy had long forgotten. And the pranksters weren't finished yet. Humanity was already planning their masterpiece. The council thought they'd seen the worst humanity had to offer. They thought they'd endured humiliation, innuendo, seduction, and scandal. They thought the pranks had reached their peak. But humanity had one more card to play, and it was the kind of prank so childish, so stupid, and yet so catastrophically funny that the galaxy would never recover. They called it the Great Whoopee Cushion War, and it began with a sound every species, no matter how advanced, instinctively reacted to with shame or laughter: the fart. The plan was simple and obscene. Humanity infiltrated the council's headquarters with a prank so massive it defied logistics. Every chair, throne, and ceremonial seat was retrofitted into an enormous galactic whoopee cushion system. Dignitaries sat, speeches began, and suddenly the most powerful beings in the galaxy sounded like an interstellar bean festival gone wrong. Each fart noise echoed across translation systems, magnified, distorted, broadcast live to every connected world. Galaxies wept. Species fainted. Humanity howled. It didn't stop with chairs. Humanity synchronized the entire sound system so that whenever someone said a solemn word, peace, honor, sacrifice, the chamber erupted in a symphony of wet raspberry noises. An alien general tried to demand order, but the acoustics betrayed him, turning his angry roar into the unmistakable sound of a whoopee cushion the size of a moon deflating under pressure. Dignity didn't just collapse. It was obliterated. The adult humor was relentless. Delegates tried to maintain composure, but the fart symphony merged with human hacks of the holographic projectors. Instead of solemn crests and holy symbols, the skies filled with giant animated asses wobbling majestically to orchestral music. Whenever two rival species attempted diplomacy, the system timed the noises perfectly to suggest that one had just lost control in the middle of negotiations. Whole alliances fractured under the weight of juvenile sound effects. Humanity didn't just humiliate the council, they made their every attempt at seriousness sound like a drunken orgy after taco night. But the true genius was the double entendres. Humans began translating every fart noise as something sexual. One galaxy's holy word for sacrifice now appeared on screens as backdoor release. Another solemn chant of unity was rephrased as synchronized booty call. Every alien prayer became a dirty limerick, every hymn an erotic moan with slapstick backing. The galaxy's most sacred spaces were reduced to a comedy club where every punchline involved gas. And the worst part? Some aliens couldn't stop laughing. Generals, priests, even lifelong politicians broke down into hysterics. One dignitary from a species known for strict celibacy collapsed under the table, wheezing with laughter at the absurdity. The council tried to silence humanity, but the sound effects drowned them out, each desperate command punctuated by increasingly loud, juicy echoes. Humanity didn't just win, they broke the galaxy's ability to function. Dark humor fueled the chaos. Humanity released propaganda calling the incident the Galactic Rearguard Movement and claimed they'd liberated the galaxy from constipation of the soul. They mocked council soldiers as gas passers in uniform and renamed entire star systems after fart jokes. Entire planets rioted, not in anger, but because every broadcast had been hijacked to replay the whoopee cushion noises on loop. Aliens tried to hold funerals, only for solemn speeches to trigger fart choruses so loud that mourners collapsed into inappropriate giggles. Yet in the middle of the madness, romance persisted. Humans leaned into the chaos with pickup lines like, "Was that the chair?" or "Are you just happy to see me?" and "Baby, if you can laugh at this, you can laugh in bed." Some aliens, humiliated beyond measure, still found themselves drawn to the audacity. If a species could turn the greatest council in history into a fart orchestra, what couldn't they do? Attraction mixed with outrage until more alien-human pairings emerged, scandalous and irresistible. The council begged for order. They tried to regain authority with new laws, banning all human involvement in official events. But the ban failed instantly. The galaxy was addicted. Whoopee cushion toys became the hottest contraband across systems. Alien lovers bought them as gag gifts. Rebel movements adopted them as symbols of defiance. Priests secretly carried them as charms. Humanity hadn't just humiliated the council, they'd seeded an entire cultural revolution powered by crude humor. And the prank escalated one final time. Humanity unveiled their masterpiece, the planetary-scale whoopee cushion. During the council's most sacred annual summit, their entire headquarters pulsed like a massive bladder of air. As the leaders gathered, the planet itself released a noise so catastrophic, so loud, so comically obscene, that shockwaves rippled through space. Planets recorded the vibration as a seismic event. Stars trembled with the echo. For generations afterward, alien historians referred to it as the day dignity died. The council was finished. Their authority collapsed under the weight of fart jokes, sexual innuendo, and the relentless refusal of humanity to play by any rules but their own. Entire empires suffered humiliation, yet couldn't resist laughing, couldn't resist retelling the story, couldn't resist admitting, deep down, that it was funny. Humanity hadn't just made them suffer. Humanity had forced the galaxy to live in a world where no solemn ceremony was safe from laughter, no romance safe from double entendres, no dignity safe from human mischief. When reporters asked Earth's representatives if they regretted anything, the answer came with a smirk. Of course. We should have installed smell effects. The galaxy groaned. Humanity roared with laughter. And from that moment on, one truth was undeniable. They had ignored the Council's warnings, they had made the galaxy suffer, and they had done it by proving the deadliest weapon in existence wasn't a supernova or a death ray. It was a perfectly timed fart joke.